Discover the incredible moment a poor girl uncovers a millionaire in a trunk. Her life changes forever. Lily's laughter rang through the cramped diner like the cheerful notes of a sunlit morning. The clatter of plates and hissing of the coffee machine created the soundtrack to her life, but beneath her radiant smile lurked a weight she carried silently. At 16, she was already the backbone of her family. Her siblings, Anna and Ben, looked up to her with wide eyes, always expecting her to weave magic into their dull days. Each pancake served and cup of coffee poured felt like one more step toward a better tomorrow for them. It was one of those sunny afternoons, the kind that made the overgrown grass in the park look almost inviting, when everything shifted. Armed with gloves and garbage bags, Lily joined her friends in a community cleanup meant to revive the town's waning spirit. As they piled up debris, an unusual glint caught her eye, something buried beneath the leaves. Heart racing, she brushed away the dirt and debris to reveal a weathered trunk. Curiosity ignited, she pried it open, and gasped as age-old treasures spilled out alongside an astonishing stack of cash that seemed out of a fairy tale. It was money, real money that once belonged to a long-lost millionaire known for funding youth programs in the community. Shock rippled through her. Could this be true? Before she could process the gravity of her discovery, word spread like wildfire. "Did you hear about Lily?" People whispered. They looked at her with a blend of awe and expectation. Suddenly, she was not just the girl from the diner, she was their beacon of hope. The townsfolk began to approach her, longing for her to use the money to fund scholarships for their kids, to repair the crumbling community center, the very heart of their town. Each request tugged at her heartstrings and pulled in opposite directions, pitting her family's needs against the dreams of others. Then came the veterans, men forged by hardship who shared their tales of resilience, their eyes glistening with the fire of determination. Their stories inspired Lily, reminding her of what truly mattered: integrity, connection, and hope. But as loud whispers turned into judgment, she realized envy simmered beneath the surface. Comments dripped with skepticism, questioning her motives, painting her with a brush heavy with the stigma tied to her family's struggles. Days morphed into weeks, and each step she took toward helping her community felt heavier. The pressure was a constant haze, and doubts began to cloud her mind. Just when she thought she had a plan, a major misstep occurred, rattling her very foundation. Heart pounding as doubts crept in, Lily stood at a crossroads, wondering if she was meant to be the savior everyone expected or if she was simply drowning in a tide of overwhelming expectations. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Feeling the weight of their gazes, a pang of connection and fear washed over her. Could she pull this off? Each moment pushed her closer to either fulfilling dreams or shattering hopes. The town held its breath, waiting for her next move, and she couldn't shake the question looming large: what would Lily choose to do, when faced not only with money but with the power to change her life and everyone else's? And in this moment of uncertainty, she was left wondering who she would truly become amidst the chaos. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the diner's windows, Lily sank into her usual booth, her thoughts swirling. The chatter around her faded into a soft murmur, replaced by the thunderous beating of her heart. Each deep breath she took felt like a weight pressing on her chest, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was standing on the edge of something huge. What would her father say? He'd always taught her to help those in need, to reach out a hand when someone stumbled. But would he really have wanted her to share their sudden fortune with the world outside? Her family had always struggled, and the past few days had shown her how quickly the tides could turn. A part of her craved the freedom that money could bring: new shoes for school, perhaps a better apartment for Anna and Ben. A loud laugh broke her reverie. It was Brenda from school. She hesitated for a moment, her eyes flicking to Lily, then turned away, continuing her conversation like the threat of judgment lay heavy in the air. They used to be friends back when all they worried about were teenage crushes and the latest trends. But now, everything felt different. And Brenda, like so many others, had begun to treat her like an outsider, someone who might not belong. Shaking off the chill of insecurity, Lily remembered the young boy she'd met in the park during the cleanup, a dreamer just like her. "I want to play on a real soccer field, not just in the dirt," he said, eyes alight with aspiration. She could almost see the same spark in the eyes of the other kids, imagining what they could achieve with even a fraction of that treasure. But what if she couldn't use the money wisely? What if her choices only led to disappointment? She couldn't bear to think of those trusting faces, waiting for a miracle that could crumble under her indecision. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for the glass of water at her side, droplets clinging to the rim. She needed advice, a mentor who could guide her amidst the chaos. Suddenly, a figure filled the doorway, and her heart skipped a beat. Mr. Thompson, the elderly man who had been a teacher for decades and had retired just last year, stood there, cane in hand, a warm smile greeting the room. He had always been a fountain of wisdom, a voice of calm amidst the storm. Maybe he could help her navigate this tangled mess. "Lily, my dear," he called, making his way over with purpose. The room quieted, eyes drifting toward them. "I've heard rumors about a young girl bringing hope back to our town." Heat rushed to her cheeks. "It's just. I don't know what to do," she admitted, the truth spilling out in a whisper. "People want me to make these big decisions, and all I feel is pressure. I wish I could make everyone happy." Mr. Thompson sat down opposite her, his expression softening. "You've already done something extraordinary by finding that trunk. Now it's about using that gift in the way that feels right to you. Keep your heart close, Lily. Be true to who you are." As his words settled over her, a flicker of resolve ignited within. But a storm of questions swirled in the back of her mind. What if she let everyone down? What if her decisions created rifts instead of bridges? What if the power she felt slipped through her fingers like sand? Just as she opened her mouth to speak, Mr. Thompson leaned forward. "Remember, Lily. Even the smallest choices can lead to the biggest paths in life. Just be ready for the journey ahead." The weight of his gaze and every word filled her with both courage and hesitation. She was about to embark on a path that could define not only her own life but her family's and the entire town's, and as Lily looked around the room, the mix of hope and expectation was palpable. Everyone still looked to her as the bright light in their lives. Yet, it was clear that it wouldn't just be her journey. It would be theirs as well. Gathering the courage, she took a deep breath and resolved to share her thoughts out loud. The answer to their questions was rising within her like dawn breaking had. She truly found not just money, but her purpose. Before she could say a word, the diner door swung open with a crack, and a frantic young woman burst in, eyes wide with urgency. "You've got to help me," she exclaimed, her voice high with a mix of desperation and hope, completely shifting the atmosphere. What now? What new complications awaited her as she stepped into the unknown? The diner's bustling atmosphere faded as all eyes turned toward the newcomer. The young woman's wild hair and flushed cheeks told a story of panic. Lily's heart raced. Who was this girl, and what kind of trouble had she brought with her? "Please, I know this is a lot," the girl gasped, casting anxious glances around the room. "But I need your help. It's about my brother. He's missing, and I think he's in real danger." A hush fell over the diner as everyone listened intently. The usual clatter of forks and plates was replaced by a heavy silence, a web of shared concern weaving through the crowd. "Where did you last see him?" Mr. Thompson asked gently, his voice steady and compassionate. Lily could feel the tension around her tighten, as if the very air held its breath, waiting for the girl's next words. "He went to the old mill up by the river," she stammered, wringing her hands. "He was supposed to meet some friends, but they—" Her voice broke, tears pooling in her eyes. "They haven't seen him since yesterday. I think something went wrong. I need to go look for him, but I can't do it alone." Lily's thoughts swirled. Here she was, dealing with her own turmoil, and now this girl was thrusting a crisis into her lap. But the fear on the girl's face cut through Lily's indecision like a knife. This was no longer just about her, it was about saving someone who was lost to Mr. Thompson placed his hand over the girl's, his expression full of kindness. "We'll help you. You're not alone in this." The other patrons began to nod, whispering amongst themselves, the spirit of community igniting like a spark. "Lily, you've already shown so much strength," he continued, looking at her. "This might be the time to use that courage to make a real difference." Lily swallowed hard. She could feel her heartbeat loud in her ears, the pull of responsibility weighing on her. Was this her moment? The chance to do something worthwhile with the fortune that had landed in her lap just days before. As the girl wiped her eyes, determination shone through her tears. "Will you come with me? Please?" "Yes," Lily said, surprising even herself with the firmness of her reply. "Let us go find your brother." She bolted upright, her mind racing with the implications of her choice. The diner, her refuge, was now merely a backdrop to the reality unfolding before her. They weren't just seeking a missing person, they were stepping into a story that could unravel even further. Mr. Thompson stood, looking at the other patrons. "Who else with us? This young lady needs support." A moment passed, then slowly hands began to rise. One by one, they offered to join the search. Even Brenda, who had been just a source of quiet judgment moments ago, stood up, determination etched on her brow. Lily's heart swelled with a mix of pride and fear. Could she really lead this group to save someone? The doubt still lingered, but they were now overshadowed by a sense of purpose that pushed her forward. As they moved toward the exit, Lily caught Mr. Thompson's eye. He nodded, a silent affirmation of her inner promise to herself. They were heading into the unknown, with lives on the line. The door swung open, and the fresh breeze brushed against her face, carrying with it the earthy scent of rain-soaked pavement. Together, she thought, grasping the hope rising within her. What awaited them at the old mill? In the distance, dark clouds began to gather ominously, an echo of the storm brewing in her heart, a storm that might just lead to something transformative for everyone involved. But was she truly prepared for the truths they might uncover? And would the community unite beyond just this moment? The answer loomed just ahead, waiting for them like shadows dancing in the dim light of the setting sun. As they stepped outside, the air felt heavier, charged with anticipation and worry. Lily felt the weight of everyone's hope resting on her shoulders. She glanced back at the diner, its warm lights flickering behind her, a stark contrast to the growing darkness ahead. The path to the old mill twisted alongside the river, its water thrumming steadily, a heartbeat of nature that somehow soothed her ragged nerves. She fell in step next to the girl, who had introduced herself as Abby. "What's your brother's name?" Lily asked, trying to keep the conversation flowing. "It's Ethan," Abby replied, her voice quaking slightly. "He's always been adventurous, you know. Sometimes he takes risks that make me worry, but I never thought." Abby's voice trailed off, and the unsaid words hung heavy between them. This was more than a sibling's normal bickering over safety, this was about real fear, about losing someone important. The group moved along, their footsteps punctuating the unnerving silence as they approached the old mill, which loomed ahead like a specter in the twilight. Its rotting wooden beams creaked in the breeze, almost echoing back their unspoken fears. "I used to play here as a kid," muttered one of the older gentlemen, Jack. "But now, it feels so different." His eyes scanned the area, searching for something, anything that might indicate Ethan's presence. With each step, apprehension built in the pit of Lily's stomach. What were they walking into? The ground felt uneven beneath her feet, mirroring her shifting emotions. "Are you sure this is where he was headed?" Mr. Thompson asked, his gaze fixed on Abby with earnest concern. "Yes," she said firmly, her hands shaking as she pulled her coat tighter around her. "He wouldn't just disappear. He wouldn't just leave us." The determination in Abby's voice sparked something in Lily. She recognized the fierce loyalty of family, the drive to protect those we love even when the world seems against them. It ignited a warmth in Lily's chest, a burning reminder of why she chose to join this ragtag team. As they reached the mill, the air thickened with tension. An old, rusted sign swayed in the wind, clinking against the decaying wall, "Caution, closed for repairs." It felt like a mockery of the situation. With a deep breath, Lily approached the entrance, the door slightly ajar. She pushed it with a gentle heave, and it creaked open, revealing nothing but darkness inside. "We need light," Lily said, her voice barely above a whisper, dread creeping back in. Jack pulled out a flashlight, casting a beam into the shadows. "Stay close, everyone," he instructed, leading the way. Abby held Lily's hand tightly, the warmth of her grip a reminder they were not alone in this. Together, they moved through the dusty interior, the light illuminating broken furniture and discarded tools, relics of a different time. "Ethan!" Abby called out, her voice echoing in the emptiness. It reverberated, coming back to them mingled with silence. Then, from deeper within the mill, came a sound, a sharp metallic clang that broke the stillness. Everyone froze, their hearts leaping in unison. "Did you hear that?" Lily asked breathlessly. "Ethan!" Abby shouted, her voice rising in hope and fear. "Wait!" Mr. Thompson cautioned, his eyes scanning the dark corners. But before they could process what to do, Abby pulled away, rushing toward the sound. "Ethan!" She cried again, desperate. Lily followed, her pulse quickening as the air thickened with uncertainty. What would they find in those depths? With each step toward the sound, she felt something shift within her, as if the air was pointing them toward a truth that was both terrifying and potentially life-changing. What if they weren't prepared for what lay ahead? What if they found more than just Ethan? As they descended further into the shadows of the old mill, the glimmer of something, was it hope or dread? Awaited them in the heavy darkness. Lily's heart hammered in her chest as she sprinted after Abby, the beam of Jack's flashlight trailing behind them like a lifeline in the oppressive darkness. Every instinct screamed at her to stop, to gather her thoughts, to reconsider, but Abby's unyielding determination ignited a fire within her. "Ethan!" Abby called again, her voice cracking again with desperation, echoing off the crumbling walls. The sound of metal clanging faded momentarily, leaving an eerie silence in its wake, swallowed up by shadow. They moved into a wider part of the mill, and Lily could see more debris scattered across the floor, old machinery, broken glass, remnants of a past life. The air was thick with dust, and she stifled a cough, the musty smell filling her lungs. Jack paused to scan the area. "Stay close," he urged again, his voice steady but laced with concern. Lily could see Abby ahead, her silhouette tense and poised, her hand searching the darkness as if it could feel Ethan's presence. There was something painfully vulnerable about the way Abby moved, a balance between fear and fierce hope. "What do you think happened?" Lily whispered, turning briefly to Jack, her voice trembling as she tried to keep the reality at bay. "I don't know, but he's here somewhere. We just need to find him," Jack replied, eyes narrowing. Suddenly, a soft whimper echoed, a sound so fragile that it pierced through the air. Abby turned sharply, her eyes wide. "That was him," she said, lunging toward the sound. "Abby, wait!" Lily called, her panic rising as the young girl dashed deeper into the gloom. Lily had no choice but to follow, desperate to keep Abby safe. They reached a doorway that led to a small, dark room, the floor littered with old wood and rusty tools. The whimper came again, clearer this time, and it pulled at Lily's heart. "Ethan!" Abby shouted, pressing forward. "We're coming." As they stepped into the room, the beam of Jack's flashlight illuminated a figure curled on the floor. "Ethan!" Abby cried, rushing forward with relief. But then, her voice twisted into disbelief. What happened? In a corner, Ethan lay unconscious, a makeshift bandage wrapped around his arm, blood seeping through the cloth. He was alive, but pale and weak. A mix of relief and terror washed over Lily. "Is he hurt?" she gasped, stepping closer. Jack knelt beside Ethan, gently checking his pulse. He's alive. We need to get him out of here. But just as Jack reached for his phone to call for help, another noise echoed through the mill, a creaking sound, as if the very walls were shifting. Did you hear that? Lily whispered, her body going rigid. Jack looked up, tension tightening his jaw. We need to hurry. Abby knelt beside Ethan, tears streaming down her face as she pulled him into her arms. Ethan. Please wake up. But he remained still, his breaths shallow. Suddenly, the creaking intensified, and with a shattering crash, the ceiling above them gave way, dust and debris raining down. Get back! Jack yelled, grabbing Abby and pulling her away just in time. Lily felt her heart drop, fear flooding her veins. What is happening? She shouted over the noise. Move now. Jack urged as he looked for another escape route. In the chaos, Lily's gaze fell on a shadowy figure standing at the back of the room, watching them. She couldn't quite place it, but something about the figure felt out of place, a slick suit, too pristine for this fallen world. Get out of here! She screamed, pointing, but the figure stepped closer, a smile that was anything but warm forming on their lips. You're not going anywhere just yet. As panic surged, Lily felt a strange resolve rising inside her. They may have found Ethan, but they were trapped in something bigger and more dangerous than they could ever imagine. What was waiting for them in this mill, and who was that mysterious figure? The weight of the moment pressed down on her, and she knew things would never be the same after this night. Not if they could escape, and not if they could uncover the truth hidden within the shadows. Jack's eyes darted between the figure and Ethan, who lay still in Abby's desperate embrace. We can't stay here. He shouted, the urgency palpable in his voice. The shadowy figure just smiled wider, a predatory glint in its eye. Why not? The figure drawled. This place has so much history. You wouldn't want to miss any of it, would you? Lily felt the hairs on the back of her neck rise. There was something off about the figure. The suit, clean and tailored, contrasted sharply with the dusty ruins surrounding them. It felt wrong, like a bad memory surfacing in a pleasant dream. Abby shook Ethan gently, panic lacing her voice. Wake up. Please. Jack's grip tightened around Abby. We need to get Ethan out of here, now. I have to help him. Abby protested, her fingers trembling against Ethan's bandage. Listen to me. Jack's tone was firm. If we don't leave right now, we might all end up like him. Suddenly, the environment felt alive around them. The creaking continued, deeper now, a malevolent heartbeat echoing through the mill's bones. Time's running out, the stranger said, taking a slow step forward. I suggest you listen to your friend. With a surge of resolve, Lily stepped in front of Abby, shielding her from both Jack's urgency and the looming figure. What do you want? She demanded, her voice steady despite the fear surging through her veins. Oh, I'm just a guide, the figure drawled with an unsettling calmness. But I can't let you go just yet. Ethan holds something that belongs to us. Lily's stomach sank. What are you talking about? The figure's smile faded, replaced by a cold intensity. He is special. You all are. The shadows around them seemed to thicken, curling closer like smoke. Enough. Jack shouted, his voice cutting through the growing tension. We're leaving. You can't hold us here. He moved to grab both Abby and Ethan, but before he could reach them, the figure raised a hand. Paperwork, the sound of fluttering pages. From the depths of the darkness, thick contracts materialized in mid-air, surrounding them like a wall. Don't be hasty, it warned. Your fate is already entwined with this mill. You have no idea what you're involved in. Lily's heart raced, her thoughts racing. What could Ethan possibly have that was so important, so worth all this? With a quick glance at Jack, she made a decision. We're not going to play your games. In a swift movement, she pulled Abby closer and crouched down. Can you carry him? She asked Jack, determination edging her voice. Jack hesitated but then nodded, urgency driving his actions. With steady hands, he lifted Ethan, cradling him as they prepared to escape. "Now," Lily urged, leading the way back through the dark room filled with debris. But the moment they turned to leave, the figure laughed. "You think you can escape? You're already part of this story, just by being here." As they moved, the walls seemed to pulse around them, the mill's darkness swallowing sound and light. They rushed through the doorway, desperation fueling their flight. "Keep moving," Jack shouted as they darted into the hall illuminated only by flickering lights overhead. Just as they reached the end of the hallway, another crash echoed behind them, the mill groaning in protest. With every step, the weight of the shadows pressed closer, a looming threat over their shoulders. "Are we going to make it?" Abby whispered, fear etched across her young face. Lily met her gaze, determination shining in her eyes. "We will." But even as she spoke, the darkness behind them twisted and churned, as if planning its next move. With no path behind them, they took a sharp left, desperate for an exit. "Where do we go?" Jack shouted, scanning the area. Before Lily could answer, the walls vibrated. A low rumble followed, shaking the very floor beneath their feet. Lily's heart raced. They were running out of time. "We'll find a way. Just keep moving." And then, a light flickered in the distance. Hope ignited inside her. There. As they raced toward it, the figure's laughter echoed in the air. "You can't escape the truth. You won't forget us." Lily glanced back, the darkness swallowing everything behind them. What truth? What did it mean? Could they make it out alive? They pushed forward, reaching for the light with everything they had. But deep down, would escaping the mill mean a true escape from the dangers that awaited in the world outside? As they neared the light, a new sound sliced through the air, a distant siren, growing closer. Was it hope, or just another part of the trap waiting to ensnare them? The light ahead grew brighter, pulling them in like a magnet. Hope surged through Lily as she pushed her legs faster, adrenaline coursing in her veins. Jack stayed close behind, Ethan secured in his arms, while Abby pressed against Lily, her small frame trembling. "Just a bit more," Lily urged, her heart pounding against her chest. She could feel the heat from the flickering bulbs overhead wrap around her like a comforting embrace. Was it freeing light or a false beacon? Could they escape the nightmare that had anchored them to this cursed place? A deafening crash reverberated through the corridor, sending a shockwave that rattled their bodies. Dust and debris rained from the ceiling, but they didn't stop. They couldn't afford to. The air thickened with swirling shadows that swayed and twisted, almost forming an army, ready to pounce. They sprinted toward the doorway, the siren growing louder, clearer. It felt real, an anchor to the outside world, but were they racing toward it or running from something worse? Jack reached the door first, yanking it open with desperate energy, and they poured into the blinding daylight. Outside, they gasped collectively. Fresh air filled their lungs, sweet and alive. But it was short-lived. The figure hovered at the doorway, shadows pooling around its feet like dark water. "You think you've escaped, but you're wrong. This is only the beginning." "Shut up!" Jack shouted, his fury igniting. He didn't just bark at the figure, he growled at the looming darkness that lingered behind it. "We've had enough of your games." "Games?" The figure smirked, eyes glinting with unsettling amusement. "You have no idea what you're getting into." Determined, Lily turned her focus back to the street ahead. People were rushing around, oblivious to their turmoil, and the siren echoed, urging them toward safety. "We can make it to the car." As they stumbled into the daylight, the siren's wail sharpened, becoming real among the chaos of the outside world. They spotted the red car parked near their destination, its surface reflecting sunlight like a beacon of hope. They pressed forward, Jack's grip tightening around Ethan. Then, just like that, the figure stepped out of the doorway and into the light, casting a long shadow that stretched across the ground towards them. "You can run all you want, but the truth will find you." Jack barked at Lily, "Get Abby in. I'll take care of Ethan." With Abby in a protective embrace, Lily guided her to the passenger side as Jack slipped Ethan into the back seat. The panic surged again as Lily turned to see the figure advancing, its smile unnervingly calm amid the chaos. "Why can't you just leave us alone?" Lily yelled, anger bubbling under her skin. "Because," the figure replied, voice almost sweet, "you've stepped into something far larger than you could comprehend. I can't let you go, not when your lives intersect with ours." With shaky hands, she climbed into the driver's seat, heart pounding. "We can't let it win, Jack. We need to drive." The engine roared to life. But just as Jack closed the door, the figure suddenly advanced, hand outstretched toward the car. Time seemed to slow as Lily's instincts kicked in. "Get down!" She screamed and slammed her foot on the gas. The car lurched forward, tires screeching against the pavement. Behind them, the figure erupted into a flurry of shadows, fading into the chaos they were leaving behind. But as they ripped away, Lily felt that familiar chill settle over her, a chilling truth that they may have just begun a journey far more treacherous than the mill. "Where do we go now?" Abby's voice quaked, fear and uncertainty palpable. "We'll figure it out." Liam's voice broke, fighting against worry as he stared into the rearview mirror, still haunted by the figure they had left behind. But in the mirroring surface, the shadows seemed to cling, lingering at the edges. What if there was more to the figure's warning? What if this escape wasn't the end but merely the first chapter of an even darker tale? The weight of the uncertainty hung between them as they sped into the unknown. In the distance, the sirens faded, but a new sound emerged, a soft, insistent ringing, pulling them deeper into a question that echoed in their hearts: what would happen next? Lily gripped the steering wheel tightly as they sped past the familiar streets. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows that danced across the pavement. Adrenaline had dulled the edges of her fears, but the weight of uncertainty still pressed down on her chest. Every breath felt heavy. What was that thing? Abby whispered from the back seat, her voice barely rising above the low hum of the engine. This was the first time they had a moment to talk, and Lily felt the tension weave its way between them. "I don't know," Jack replied tersely, keeping his gaze fixed ahead. "But it was real. It wasn't just in our heads." He clenched his jaw and refrained from looking in the rearview mirror. Lily stole a glimpse back, half expecting to see the figure materializing in the dust they left behind, but it was just a blur of darkness fading into memory. The city grew more distant, the noise of honking horns and bustling pedestrians fading into a muted backdrop. "What do we do now?" Ethan's small voice piped up, bringing Lily back to the urgency of the moment. His eyes were wide with worry, offset by remnants of tears that had barely dried. She wanted to promise him everything would be okay, to chase the shadows of doubt away. "We need to regroup." Lily's heart swelled with determination. "Find a safe place. We can't let that thing find us again. What if it's still following us?" Abby's voice quaked as she clutched her small backpack like a lifeline. "We need to have a plan," Jack said, shifting in his seat as if he was already ready to fight whatever came their way. "We can't just drive endlessly. We have to think smart." As they turned a corner, Lily spotted a small diner. Its neon sign flickered, casting a warm glow over the sidewalk, inviting and safe in contrast to the chaos they had just fled. That felt like the only logical choice. "Let us stop there," she suggested, her eyes landing on the parking lot filling with other cars. "We can catch our breath and figure things out inside." Jack nodded, tension easing just a touch. They pulled into a space, the asphalt under the tires feeling steady beneath their uncertainty. Lily glanced at Ethan in the back seat. His sleep had been rough, and his eyes were still red-rimmed. "Let us get some food, okay? I'll buy you both milkshakes." Ethan perked up. "The chocolate kind?" "Of course," Lily replied with a smile, as they all climbed out of the car, their legs shaky but fueled by the excitement of adventure. A brief pause from the lurking shadows behind them. Inside, the diner was buzzing with life, filled with regulars and newcomers alike. The smell of fryer grease and coffee wafted through the air, offering a strange kind of comfort. They settled into a booth, still wary, but the mundane atmosphere seemed to cocoon them in normalcy. As they scanned the menu, Jack leaned in closer, voice low. "We need to talk and figure out our next move. I have a bad feeling about this." Lily felt it too. The strange connection to the figure, the emptiness after their price of escape, felt unresolved. What if it wasn't he about just escaping from the mill? She murmured. What if it's hunting us? The words hung in the air, heavy and foreboding. Jack frowned but didn't he disagree. Lily's intuition fluttered as she added, "If we have to confront it again, I want to be ready." Abby, who had been silent up until now, looked intensely at both of them. Do you think we're all in danger?" With the food ordered, the situation felt tenser than ever. As if part of the diner was already alive with secrets. The conversations around them faded away, leaving only silence and the echo of their fears. Then, as if summoned by their growing anxiety, the diner door swung open with a chime, and in walked a stranger, a tall figure in a dark coat that felt eerily familiar. The ringing in Lily's ears drowned out everything else. All she could see was that shadowy form making its way toward them, with destiny written in its steps, and just like that, a lesser-known fear gripped her heart. What if the hunt had only just begun? The figure approached slowly, each step echoing in the thin air between them. Lily's heart raced, a force of nature all its own, pounding like a drum in her chest. She couldn't take her eyes off that coat, the way it moved with an unnatural grace. "Lily?" The voice came low and smooth, like gravel, stirring her confusion. "Do you know him?" Jack hissed, his body tense beside her. I don't think so," she stammered, her throat dry. She couldn't shake the feeling that she'd seen him before. The stranger drew nearer, his face obscured by shadows. "Is it him?" Ethan whispered, his voice trembling. "The one from the mill." Before Lily could respond, the stranger stepped into the diner's light. A chill shot down her spine. Recognition crashed over her like a wave. It was the same man who had stood at the edge of the mill that fateful night, the figure who had almost seemed to reach for them. "Please," he said, a commanding softness in his tone, "you need to come with me. It isn't safe here." The word sent a shiver racing through the booth. Jack instinctively leaned closer to Lily, his eyes darting around as if looking for an escape route. Abby's fingers intertwined with Ethan's, her fear visible. "Why? Who are you?" Lily managed, breaking free from her paralysis. Anger began to swell, anger mingling with fear. "What do you know about us?" The man put his slightly gloved hand up in a placating gesture. "I know more than you think. That thing you saw, it's searching for you. You must listen to me if you want to stay safe. The diner isn't a sanctuary, it's a trap. Why should we believe you?" Jack's voice was a bark, desperate. "Because I'm not your enemy," he replied, looking down at Ethan with an intensity that made Lily's gut twist. "I can help you. But we have to act quickly. There isn't much time." Lily glanced at Jack, their gazes locked, each searching for reassurance, for answers they didn't have. "What does that mean?" she finally asked, voice trembling. "What happens if we don't?" "The creature hunts through fear and weakness. It senses your vulnerabilities," he said with a gravity that made her skin crawl. "If we don't leave now, you'll have nowhere left to run." The diner hummed around them, oblivious to the rising tension at their booth. People laughed, forks scraped against plates, but to Lily, the world fell silent. It became a stage for dread. "What do you want from us?" she asked, her heart pounding, each beat echoing through the suffocating atmosphere. "All I want is to help you," the stranger replied, his eyes unwavering. "But the choice is yours. Stay here, and I can't guarantee your safety." Lily swallowed hard, the weight of indecision settling heavily in her chest. She glanced at Ethan, his little face painted with fear and confusion. They had no clear path ahead, but staying felt like an invitation to face the shadows lurking in the diner. "Well, what's it going to be?" Jack nudged her. Lily felt a spark of determination ignite within her. "We can't let fear control us. If we have to face it, let us face it together." But before she could finish, a loud crash echoed through the diner. The lights flickered, and for just a heartbeat, she could swear the walls were closing in on them. The stranger's expression hardened. "Time's up," he said, urgency lifting his tone. "We have to go. Now." As he turned, Lily's heart raced, teetering on the edge of a decision. Was he telling the truth? Could he really help them? She caught a glimpse of Jack's jaw clenched tight, uncertainty lining his features as he glanced back at the crowded diner. The doors suddenly flew open again, and entrotted a wild wind, the air thickened with palpable dread. The lights flickered more violently now. "Please," the stranger pleaded. "You have to trust me." Lily's breath hitched. Could she trust him? Was the danger outside worse than what lurked in the diner? As the lights dimmed once more, all the food orders forgotten, they faced the growing shadows, their choices leading them deeper into the unknown. What would come next? Moments like this change everything, she thought, adrenaline surging through her veins. In that instant, she made a choice, ready to step into the darkness. But was it a move towards liberation or a step closer to peril? And what awaited them outside those diner doors? The tension hung thick in the air as Lily stood at the crossroads, her heart racing like a whirlwind. The shadows around them twisted and churned, but her resolve surged stronger by the second. With a glance at Jack and the wide, trusting eyes of Ethan and Abby, she made up her mind. "We can't let fear drive us. If I have to face that thing again, I want us to do it together. No more running." The stranger's gaze flickered, but he nodded, a flicker of respect crossing his features. "That's the spirit. Here, follow my lead." Without waiting for a reaction, he turned sharply, moving toward the back exit of the diner. Jack's protective instincts kicked in, and he positioned himself in front of Abby and Ethan, keeping watch as Lily felt a surge of collective courage wash over them. As they trailed behind the mysterious man, the once buzzing diner grew faint, a ghostly echo as they stepped into the alley. The sun had dipped below the horizon, casting the world in a palette of deep blues and grays. Dark clouds loomed above, ominous reminders that something was watching, something ready to pounce. "What's your name?" Lily finally asked, curiosity mingled with urgency. "Dante," he replied, glancing back over his shoulder, his voice steady. "I promise, I'm here to protect you." The creature, a thing fueled by shadows, thrives on the uncertainty that comes with your newfound life. It knows your weaknesses. We need a plan. Lily's heart thumped in her chest. We need more than just a plan. We need people who understand us, who can fight with us. Dante nodded solemnly. "And I know just the people. The ones who have fought it before." As they exited the alley, the evening air turned bitter. The sound of rushing water thrummed from a nearby river, a steady heartbeat marking their movement forward. Suddenly, behind them, a low growl reverberated through the alley. Lily froze. The creature was close. "Move!" Jack urged, voice like thunder instilling strength. They rushed down the street, Dante navigating them through winding paths where streetlights flickered nervously like sentinels. "What does this creature want?" Abby panted, her small hand tightly gripping Ethan's. "It wants your light, the hope you carry within, the promise of a better tomorrow for your town," Dante explained, urgency lacing his voice. "But remember, it only has power if you let it. You're stronger together than you realize." With each stride, hope intertwined with dread surged within Lily. No longer the girl waiting for a chance to help, she was becoming the spark that could rally others. They rounded the corner and came across a community center, their town's heartbeat, still alive despite the cracks in its walls. "Here," Dante said, leading them inside. The darkness fell in waves as they stepped into the dimly lit main hall. But this time, it felt different. A lingering warmth resonated in the air, the echo of laughter and friendship forgotten but not gone. "We'll gather others who have faced the creature. They'll help us fight back," Dante reassured, glancing between them with unwavering certainty. Lily took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Does anyone know what we're up against?" Her voice rang across the room, firm and steady. From the shadows, familiar faces began to emerge, friends and neighbors, people who had lost too much to silence the darkness. Jack stepped beside her, fists clenched as he stood ready, fueling her strength. Ethan and Abby exchanged glances, their fear melting in the presence of shared resistance. One by one, they shared their stories. Tales of fear, loss, but also of light, resilience, and community. Lily felt the weight of their shared histories wrap around her and settle in her bones. The creature was feeding on their fear, and together they could extinguish its grip. "Together, we will shine brighter than any shadow," Lily proclaimed, and the room erupted in a chorus of agreement, voices rising higher as they affirmed their choices and unity. "Let us confront this darkness as a family," Dante urged, a fire igniting in his eyes. Each heart beat steady, mirroring the strength within. And so, they set forth into the night, a march toward courage forged by collective hope. As they neared the river, a powerful surge of energy crackled through their veins. The creature was waiting, ready for its hunt. But this time, they weren't just survivors, they were a united force. Under the swirling storm clouds, the battle began, not just of flesh and bone, but of light against dark. Lily felt her heart expand, filled with determination. She was not alone anymore. With every step toward the creature, they moved like a wave together, unyielding, ready to reclaim their lives. Because in the face of true fear, they were armed with love, resilience, and the most potent force of all, each other. As shadows clawed at them, creeping fear crumbled in the wake of their determination. No more chains held them back. They were about to show darkness just how powerful light could truly be. As the first clash occurred, the lightning flashed and the storm broke above them, signaling the power of family and community breaking through. Together, they would write a new chapter. A chapter not marked by fear but filled with hope and strength. In this moment, Lily realized that her life and that of her community was about to change forever. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the power of stories. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below. And, most importantly, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share your part of something bigger.